What is up, guys? Fer here, and today we're going to be talking about the Rox Pirates. Now, when it comes to the old era, usually what comes to mind is Roger's era, which was the time when Roger was essentially the biggest pirate, alongside individuals like Whitebeard, Shiki, and Garp, who were all rivals to Roger at that point in time. But with the events of chapter 907, which was a great chapter by the way, that all changed because we learned about the age before Roger, which was called the Rox, again, which was a time where the Rox were the biggest pirates on the seas, and it was also hinted that Big Mom and Kaido were a part of this pirate crew. Now, we're not exactly sure what they were, if they were a pirate crew or some form of alliance that happened back in the day, but it was heavily hinted that Big Mom and Kaido had some form of connections or some form of alliance to the Rox. Now, it's also kind of weird because given how the current Yonkos handle themselves, and them having Conqueror's Haki, it's kind of weird that both Big Mom and Kaido would go under the flag of someone else. Again, this isn't the first time we've seen something like this happen where a pirate captain has several crewmates that have Conqueror's Haki, and usually people that have King's Haki are pirate captains themselves. And so it makes you wonder what type of person the captain of the Rox really was. For him to attract two potential future Yonkos on his side is definitely impressive. And I think that says a lot about who he was as a person. A king that's able to attract other kings. I think there's only 3 individuals in the series that have King's Haki users as crewmates. One being Big Mom and Katakuri, and then we have the Rox captain and Big Mom and Kaido. Obviously, we don't know who else is involved. Maybe Shiki was once a part of them, who knows. And finally, we have Roger and Rayleigh, Odin, and potentially Douglas, who was hinted to be a King's Haki user in the upcoming new One Piece movie. So this guy had to be really special for him to have future Yonkos in his crew. And when I say special, I'm talking about Roger level special, or maybe even above that. And something that's really prevalent in the community right now is that a lot of people refer to him as the king before Roger. A lot of people suspected that he was going to become the Pirate King, but was ultimately foiled by Garp. And this is when we learn about how Garp had earned his title as the hero of the Marines, which was shocking because I personally thought that the title came from his accomplishments during Roger's era, being the individual who cornered Roger several times over. And even back then, I started to look at Garp as a fraud in a sense, because Rayleigh stated that Roger was never caught and turned himself in. So I wondered as to why Garp was deserving of a title like the Hero of the Marines, because we also know Sengoku was doing just as much as Garp back in the day. But it all makes sense now, because from what it seems like, Garp was the individual who interrupted the rise of a potential pirate king. Now, going back to the Rox here for a second, they could have been the strongest pirate crew, even more so than Roger, just going off of the potential of the individuals they had on the crew. And I think this really says a lot about Garp's strength back in the day, but I also think this says something about Roger as well, because we know Garp couldn't overcome Roger like he did with the Rox. And so again, it's kind of vague when it comes to what happened 40 years ago with the Rox and Garp, and also with the connection Big Mom and Kaido had with the Rox. And talking about 40 years ago, it's highly hinted that Shaki was also involved with the Rox in some way, shape, or form, because she stated that she used to be chased by Garp and she hasn't sailed the sea in over 40 years. So obviously there's something there with her. And I think with the way Wano is going, with Big Mom and Kaido being in the same place, we might get some flashbacks as to what happened 40 years ago, because it's very vague, and knowing Oda, he's probably going to throw something in there that we probably wouldn't expect.
The Rox Pirates and the Roger Pirates. One Piece. Power is an incredible thing. In the words of Abraham Lincoln, nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Pirates of various stripes face much adversity in their day-to-day roles, with opposition from the world government and marine forces. But what has always intrigued me is the relationship of pirates to one another, how they interacted, and vice versa, collectively and independently, affected or impacted the world. The Rox Pirates and Roger Pirates of old and legend. They had power, oh yes, but how did they wield it? What did they seek to do with such might? How did they get along? Or how did they conflict? One thing the two crews have in common is that they were chased down by Garp. However, Whereas Garp is said to have taken down the Rox by allegedly or assumptively defeating its leader, or outcasting him in some way, Gol.D Roger turned himself in voluntarily. There was no capture there. It was simply his time. Speaking of crews, many have theorized about the makeup of each crew. Who were the members of the Rox Roger Pirates? With the recent One Piece movie being released, we find out that the Roger Pirates members are so far as follows: Gol.D Roger himself, the Dark King Rayleigh, Red-Haired Shanks, Buggy the Clown, Crocus, Scopper Gaban, Seagull, Kozuki Odin, temporarily Inarashi and Nekomamushi, and recently revealed from the upcoming One Piece Stampede film, Douglas Bullet. We have seen and reason to believe that the Rox Pirates consisted of Big Mom, Kaido, Shocky, and by way of theorizing and speculation, Miss Balkan, Whitebeard, and others were part of said crew as well, for some time. In my Rox Pirates video on my channel, I go into further detail as to how Katakuri's tattoo provides a window into ties to Kaido, as well as the Rox Pirates in general, suggesting that hairstyles and flight and region that one comes from, such as the North Blue, are key to decoding the membership of said crew. Speaking of the upcoming One Piece film Stampede, we see how some pirates impact the world, and not always in positive ways. If Douglas Bullet is to be a villain in this movie, he certainly has swayed from the path of Roger, who at his end found himself unable to complete the task discovered upon Raftel. That is not to say the Roger Pirates started off as a positive force. They are or were pirates after all. Just like Whitebeard was said to kill, so did Roger. It is part of the reason Gol.D Roger was unable to unite the world, and that task has been left to Monkey D. Luffy, whose greatest gift, Mihawk said, is his ability to unite various factions together under one cause. As a matter of fact, perhaps the pirate world was not as divided as it is today. We see that Shiki amassed a large following with his own grand fleet. Perhaps the same can be said of the Rox and their coalition. Back then, it was perhaps a time where it was better to join than be opposed, just as now they say you either join the Yonko or fight them, with many choosing to fight rather than join. If this is the case, then no wonder Shiki gave Roger the ultimatum of joining sides to conquer the world, or to do battle as they did before the storm wiped the flying pirates out. The Rox reigned so many years ago. Perhaps they had an equally contentious relationship with Roger. Looking at the Rox Pirates, one must ask, did they start off potentially wicked as well? Or are we to assume it was the reverse, that they were corrupted, defeated, and made to oppose one another over time, just as the world government would like it to preserve balance? For what purpose or reason was such a pirate group or organization formed? To conquer the world? Did the individual members of the crew seek to make their leader the Pirate King as well? Did they reign during the time of Roger for that matter, before or soon after? So many questions. But one would think the point of aligning such strong factions would be to conquer or achieve something. What that is remains an elusive question. The Rox Pirates had uncovered Raftel. What would their answer to the world have been? To destroy it, as Kaido seeks. Such a dream collides with Big Mom's. It is very much to bring peace, to unite the world, even if by force. Perhaps force is all that is aligning these diverse groups within the Rox Pirates. Overwhelming force, by aligning alongside one coalition, even if independently their dreams are opposed. Because collectively, some shared outcome can be achieved. Power for power's sake can often be achieved when rivals join hands. Just as Roger's crew seems to be a crew of kings, excluding Buggy, by way of Conqueror's Hockey. If the Stampede trailer is accurate, that is. Then the Rox Pirates were a crew of rivals, who saw the greatest route to power to be achieved collectively. We shall have to wait and see. Thank you for joining me. I wonder what dots you've connected that I have missed. Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell. After all, there is more lore to come. For now, I return to my stay in Valhalla.
Again, thank you guys for watching. Rate the video. If you liked the video, drop a like. Comment down below what you guys think, what you guys feel, or what you guys think about the Rox Pirates. How do you guys feel about the connections between Big Mom, Kaido, and the Rox? And again, check out RagnaR's channel down below. Links will be in the description. Go subscribe to him. And yeah, thanks for watching. It is Pharaoh, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.